right now we're beginning the karmic return on the Stargate cycle of 22,326 BC, when we were invaded by the Wisadek races and the Nibiruan races, and the Iani were massacred. It was called the Iani Massacre. Happened in Lemuria, and Lemuria and Atlantis were concurrent with each other. There was an Atlantean invasion, but they took the Lemurian islands as well. Now we have a choice again. We can use what we know to change that overlay that's coming, or the underlay that's coming up. It's coming up through our mass radial body and through the planetary grid, so it's coming. What we're learning now is how to take charge of it in a loving way, but in an intelligent way. It isn't intelligent anymore with the drama that we're in to surrender your power to channel. I'm not against channels, but however, do you know that when you're channeling, something else is merging with your DNA template and your shields? The only thing that can channel through you that will not cause harm to your shields is your own soul, oversoul, avatar, rishi, or ascendant master level. Anybody else has a different mathematical coding, and as soon as they come into your body, they change the mathematical coding in your template. Now, even if they're nice, and somebody out there wants to channel through you in contact, you have to be crazy or unaware to let them do that. What's interesting is there are a lot of beings in the middle dimensional fields that don't understand Templar mechanics either. Not all of them mean to cause harm. They'll come in and channel and not realize they're doing damage to the templates of the person they're with and to their own. Then you have the ones that are like the Wisadeks and the Pleiadians, which are part of the Pleiadian Nibiruan Anunnaki crew from Phantom Matrix. Whole bunch of them. Just about every voice that's channeled on the planet right now, even the angels, especially the archangels. These guys are coming from the Wisadek and the Phantom Matrix, and they're fusing their templates into the DNA and scalar shields of people so they can body possess them. And now they're getting their big boost. They're getting the flaming blue sword of death coming through. So just when you see these things going around, you have a choice. You can... There's a denial factor that a lot of people don't want to hear that because it's more fun. I can go talk to my angels. They don't really care if their angels are actually angels, because it feels good to talk to somebody, because they feel lonesome and they feel special now that somebody from someplace else that nobody else can see is actually talking to them. Aim higher, and try to encourage people that you see that are doing that to aim higher. Teach them about their Christos self. The first person you want to contact is you. Once you do that, the universe is open, because once you have what's called a dedicated line, which is your Maharic seal and your flame bodies now, you can talk to anything. You can talk to Wisadeks and they can't touch you. It's really funny when the other day when the Archangel Michael, even using his little archetypal form, which is not what he looks like, it's just an image he picked up that he knew humans, would respond to. He's not a he, it's a collective of beetle people. And it's not just Archangel Michael. There's a whole bunch of them that are all connected. There's the Katumi group. There's the, all those ascended masters, we are the masters groups. That whole attitude is a Wisadek attitude. The people who are working and channeling, working with these people and channeling them don't know this. They were misled too. But sometimes they were misled because they were them too. You never know. It's very hard to tell whether the channel was actually victimized or whether the channel came in to an incarnation in order to victimize other people. It's hard to tell. But if you can realize that all these things that we call people are into in all the movements out there, the old-fashioned movements with mediumship and all that, the newfangled movements which involve channeling, which is the same thing as mediumship. It really is. You have conscious channeling, which is a little bit better because at least it's not fully fusing with your lower two strands, it's just fusing with the higher ones in strand 3. You have a partial pillar of light that emerges through your DNA, actually, through your body and around your body. But it depends on how far that pillar goes, that pillar called the Antankarana, which is the smaller pillar. It's not the Christos pillar. That pillar can be compromised. From the fallen angelic levels, the fallen angelics exist from dimension 11.5 and down. Some people think that, D4 is the trouble spot, the astral plane, and everything beyond that is higher and better and perfect. It isn't. And this is one of the games that's being run right now in the New Age movement, where people are just so glad that something is talking to them out there, through there. They're not asking who it is. They're accepting stuff like, I'm an ascended master from dimension 5.
That's not an ascended master. They're accepting, I am angel this or archangel that, without having any clue as to who the being is, or even thinking that that being might have an ill intention. Why? Because the being's obviously higher than me, so therefore it's better. Therefore it's more Christed than I am. And that's an absolute falsehood. When you get to D12, that's when you can trust what you talk to. That's what I tell people. If they're channeling, first of all, don't channel. Communicate telepathically. You can talk to anything just as well. And aim high. Don't talk to the confused guys in the middle dimensional fields. Talk to beings D12 and higher, starting with your own self that's there. Now, people that have gotten involved with channeling, it's like channeling is one of the best ways to get possessed that you could ever imagine. You know? And we were seduced into that in the New Age movement. And so it was so smooth the way it was done. This was an Anunnaki trick. Okay? Fallen angelic Anunnaki races did this very, very well. They taught us how wonderful it was to finally have somebody out there through there talking to us that we didn't even ask who it was. We didn't care. At least somebody was talking to us. You know, at least there was somebody's out there. We're not alone down here. And then they tell us wonderful things like things about Christ consciousness that we really, really wanted to find out about because we had a resonance to that. And they could lead us like little babies, lead us through the channeling movement without telling us anything about the fact that what they were doing is biofield attachment and keeping us amused and distracted over here. Oh yes, here's how you manifest what you want here. Excuse me while I plug myself into your kundalini and sap your life force, this kind of thing. They didn't tell you about that part of it. You don't need to be a channel. There's a lot of channels that walk around. I'm a channel. It's like, impress me. Yeah. We're all channels, hate to tell you. Okay? Everybody here channels frequency and energy. The thing is, what they mean by I'm a channel means I'm talking to somebody important that's above and beyond this reality field. This is the attitude that tends to go with the channeling thing, where I'm talking to somebody more important, so therefore I have more knowledge, so you need to listen to me. It's like a power play. Some of them are sweet about it. Others are really arrogant and obnoxious about it. What they don't realize is they're confessing their own level of lack of development. You don't need to have somebody else come and talk through your mouth when you know how to speak through your own. You don't need somebody to say, hi, I'm an angel, I'll tune every once in a while and fix things for you, when you're a Christos being and you know how to be your own angelic force, because you can access even more information than the angels have, because angels are D6 consciousness. You have a level of D6 consciousness. Archangels, they're into the oversoul realm. You have oversouls. These are still baby realms. These are the guys that people are listening to in the New Age movement. Hi, I'm Archangel so-and-so. You know, hi, I'm Angel so-and-so. Aren't I sweet and pretty? I'll talk to you nice and I'll tell you all sorts of wonderful things you want to hear, so you'll follow me blindly and do what I ask you to do and not worry about taking responsibility for yourself. We have been seduced in this culture. There's two things happening, seduction and terror. When you deal with draconian matrix teachings, you usually get terror. They just teach you God's going to hate you and flatten your world if you don't follow A, B, C, and D, period, and you have to talk to the priest on a regular basis because he's your link to God. Traditional stuff is built on that. The seduction is even harder to spot because it's telling us everything we want to hear. Yes, we can be free. Yes, we can be Christos. Yes, we can talk to things that are higher than here. We even have parts of ourselves higher than here. Nothing like getting half ascension teachings given to you when you've had none. Half looks really good when you didn't have any to start with. We don't need either of those things as Christos beings, because we come to realize that any information that's up there and out there that any of those guys can access, we can access too, but in the most perfectly personal way. You might not get verbal translation. You might not have your Christos self level talk to you verbally. You may get it in direct cognition where you suddenly just know. What do I do with this? I don't know. Get out of your own way. Go do something relaxing. Look out at the snow and how pretty it is. And then tune back in and say, what do I feel about this? And if you're running your Maharic seal, you will begin to get an imprint from your D12 divine blueprint, which will override any distortions that are coming through from the emotional body that has connections to twisted grids in the planetary grid, so you can't always tell if what feels good is good for you. You know? You will be able to establish these lines of communication. These frequencies that are viewed from black hole systems are being balanced. In all science now, we get TV and radio and stuff here, right? Why? Because scientists here balance light and sound waves, electromagnetic waves, off satellites, right, around the Earth. And there's such science here that they can fine-tune them so perfectly. You can get hundreds of channels of TV channels, and they all blur into one. And the technology is already here on the planet, but they're doing the same kind of balance effect. These are like the long-distance satellites that they have been sending these broadcasts in here. This is what 90%, if not more, of the channel movement has been about. They're starting to talk because they're coming back. And what they're hoping to do is come back mostly at red back capacity or high charge for the moment. This is the mess I'm for you. Is this right here. The clay on the column in the nitrate, and they're the last parts that are locked in. And of course, the king of the road over here, the cryo magnetic master. Anybody has heard this material, I remember I picked it up once. I didn't read much of it. It was in a bookstore. And there's something that I just went, oh. It's a particular channel, and they spell it a little different. Maybe just recently. Oh, yeah, similar, but there's a lot of ways to spell the name George. But it's the magnetic master. Well, this is the magnetic master because it's one of the key instruments that's holding these alignments together. And it actually is it's supposed to be one of the key things that's going to drag Phantom into the Weasel axis, and what they hope to do is take our system with it. There's distortions in the angle of stellar frequencies interfacing with your brain from sharper 7, which would mean there's probably distortions from sharper 10 as well, which is right above it. It creates total distortions in how energy flows through you, and it literally shuts down the whole complex of what's supposed to be the internal manifestation facility. It's not just a third eye so you can see things beyond this density. This is a manifestation facility where you bring things from the higher densities. This is, of course, quantum density 3 level itself. Created at density 3, sent it to level 4, sent it down into Earth 4, into D13, make a pattern on it, bring it back into the Earth shields, and activate the whole system of the motor fury all the way up, and you actually get to be able to breathe, leave, think, and manifest. This is what was shut down on us. It was hijacked, actually. It wasn't just shut down. It was interfaced with certain frequencies that interact with the wrong angles here, create certain chemicals that were reversed from the natural chemical composition when they should be. And it allowed, through once from black hole systems and reverse biologies, to be able to plug in. This is how they got into our heads. This is how they channel. They literally have a mutation of the angles. They don't have the pound sharper coming down, the center frequency down at the right angle. And this has to do with the planetary misalignments that they created on purpose.
This is why our pineal glands don't work anymore the way they're supposed to, and this is why we have not been able to run monadic current here. Part of it's this. Part of it had to do with the shift that happened first before they plugged the beast into it. Now, the shift 5.5 million years ago. But right down here now, what we have literally running below our feet inside of our planet and inside of our Maharic shield. All right, because we're on this planet. It's running through our grids too. It's also running through our parameter field, which means we have the ability to arc these things in even now. Now, they're blasting these frequencies, these arcs through. They're going to do the final arcing by activating the sextant. If you looked at this shield down here as holding that sextant pattern that they were kind enough to show us what it looked like and what its alignments are up in the sky, you can just pull it right off the internet. Come join us with the harmonic concordance. Yes. I won't even say some of the people I know that are running that one. You might want to look into that if anybody knows me. Yeah, we call them the Azurite Temple of the Wieseldek Order. That's when we became Azurite Press. Okay, so down here, running in our shields, there is that 6-axis sextant pattern that is being electrically activated now. What it is meant to do, it's also running up here. It's running between several moons that are lined up through the 666 gates. All right. Well, some of them are in the Phantom side, and like Phantom Nibiru has the moon called Cryon. Cryon, the magnetic master that's been channeling here for quite a while. Tune into the Nibiruan broadcast station. One of them. Over here, if you want to tune into the Wieseldek broadcast station, you can always do the Clarion Call, or a whole host of ascended masters who pop in and out, including Maitreya and a few others. All right. Now, and there's even worse. There's also the Buddharas,
We didn't even get into those. We introduced them a little bit in Phoenix. It's like, enough already. I don't care how many black holes are out there or how many races are in them. We get the picture, okay? Let's just fix it, you know?